I once again want to define the term ignorant guru, because people keep misunderstanding it. Although I have made it very clear, by ignorant guru I don't mean a foolish guru, but one who has ignored a lot of other facts and only focused on one particular thing. And that's what has been ignored makes an ignorant guru. Here I am making this video for you from Pune, a place from where Osho created a spiritual empire. And then he was a less ignorant guru, because he talked about many things. That doesn't mean he did not ignore. But then that's why I call him as a less ignorant guru. He talked about the Vedas, he talked about Wilhelm Reich, to quantum physics, and everything he did. And the problem with him was he just ignored the most important thing, that is a practical life. When people asked, how can I make money? He said, you are asking a wrong question. I know how to make money for myself, but I don't know about you. But having said that, it was done in a very jovial undertone, and he did talk about ways and means through spiritual awareness one can be prosperous. But anyway, that's not the topic for now. You have to understand that what is important for you is a philosophy, a way of life, which does not ignore the most important thing, which is the practical life, living this life of the physical body. Unfortunately, most spiritual philosophies have turned against the practical life, which is the material life, because they come from the premise that it is spirit. It's all about spirit, it's not about matter. But the spirit lives in this body. If this body gets bad, it exits the spirit. The spirit is dependent on this body. All that we know is not the spirit, but the body. The disease that the body has, or the sex or the food that the body you enjoy, is all due to the body, because you are the body. I wrote an article long back for the Speaking Tree, which is a portal by, I think, Times of India. You are the body, you are not the soul. But the teachings mislead us, saying that you are the spirit. You are the spirit, you are the body, and the spirit and the body are interdependent on each other. They are different manifestations of the same energy. What do you call, if you call energy or the soul or nature, whatever it is important not to ignore the material life, the material body. But at the same time, keep it in mind that it is the material body that needs to be understood, or the material world that needs to be understood and transcended, or needs to be understood and used for enriching our material life. And that is more important. And that is what most of the people have ignored, because most of the spiritual teachers, at least in the Indian tradition, but also in the Western tradition, belong to the priestly class, or the guru class, if you will. And these are people who just denied the material life and then chose to live the so-called spiritual life. And but still they needed money to build temples and ashrams and monasteries and so forth, and which needed money, but so they have to depend on people who were focusing on the material life. So it is important to understand the value of matter, because we are in a material world. But that doesn't mean that we should not be spiritual. They are, as I said just a moment ago, they are the outer and the inner manifestation of the same reality. You can enrich your life. My teaching basically is how to use the spirit, to use the soul in order to enrich your life. And that is something that is very practical, and that is what most of my teachings are. Most of my teachings often relate to material well-being, whether it is health, whether it is wealth. They all belong to the material world. And even the mind is material. And one thing that you should not fall into a trap of one particular teaching, including myself. I have been trying to incorporate everything. Somebody was talking about how the muscle tone is everything, that by understanding this science, you can completely change your life. And I'm not saying no. But then that's only a limited perspective. You can understand a phenomenon from multiple angles. And by doing so, you can enrich yourself, but you should not be a dry academician, and you will never go anywhere. Because I was trained in the US, where in the university, where people thought that studying religion should be objective. So that's why there is a saying, you should not teach religion, you can only teach about religion. And I was not comfortable with that. And I asked the question, how can you teach about religion without experiencing it? If you teach about religion, which you can do that, but you will not be giving the experience, because religion or spirituality, they both belong to the domain of experience. You can talk about an economics of religion, that's a different thing, or economics of spirituality, or the ego gratification that comes out of one being spiritual, because that is the most dangerous thing. Most ignorant gurus are so egocentric. The egocentric quality comes from being themselves ignorant. They ignore the other person in order to promote himself. That's what it is.